So as things come up for me, like things that I'm questioning or ideals or things that's been so normalized, and when those things come up to me and I'm like, where did that come from? I'm going into researcher mode and figuring out what is like the origin or the reason that certain terms, certain behaviors, certain truths has been um, established, and a lot of times how certain lies has been turned into truths. So today, that one, I guess a lie into a truth or a misconception into a truth is, what is CP time? What is colored people time? I've always used the term because it has been normalized among people who look like me, to identify when people are fashionably late or gives an excuse for someone being late to an event or to a meeting or to late to starting an event, when there's been like a established time. And so I decided to do some reading and brief reading. I like to go into more because I did find some books that maybe give more details or more insight as to why the term is so popular and what it came to be. But briefly, what I found is pretty much CP time came about from, of course, the dreadful part of our history, slavery, where our people were viewed as being laxed or nonchalant about being on time to an occasion or being timely in their work ethics. And so this in turn got flipped into our people, my people, being deemed as lazy and not caring. When so a couple of things that I found is, you know us being deemed as clock challenged, our inability to tell time on a clock, which goes further into the narrative, the myth that black people are stupid or they're incompetent or they're lazy. And then another reason is it could have likely been a way of rebelling, because in that way it wasn't like overtly like pushed like this is a form of us rebelling against this system that has killed our spirit. But it's like more of a subtle rebellion, like I'm not going to care about what you value because you definitely don't value me as a person, and so I'm not going to show up when you want me to show up. So that could likely be a reason too. And I just use the 5 whys to kind of just keep unpeeling um, um, this concept. And so yeah, so why should I show up if you're going to oppress me anyway? If you're going to do all these things to me anyway, I want to find something to take back what's mine, what's my dignity, what's my peace of mind in this, you know, messed up situation, horrible situation. And then, you know, another why, well, not caring about what you value. If you value me being at your beck and call, and I have to do this at 6 a.m. every morning, a little bit of me showing that I don't care about what you care about because you don't care about me. I'm gonna show up at 6:15. I'm not gonna show up at 6. I'm gonna rest for 15 more minutes because that's something that I can take back for me. And I think that's pretty much the sentiment now, because a lot of times when people are on quote unquote CP time and they arrive late to something, they're doing more of something that feels best for them. Like, I don't promote this, but like say if you're running late from work, say if one day you're running late from work. You let them know you're running late from work. And in actuality, you was at home trying to get a part of your business off the ground. Maybe just an element of it. You were trying to list the item or finish. That's something you may find more valuable than being punctual for a 9 to 5 where, you know, you may be getting tired of it, or, you know, you may see that 15 minutes being late may be something more beneficial to you. And so I think that's very much the sentiment, but I don't think many people actually think about CP time, like really what that really means. And then another component is, you know, you're just tired of being used in a situation that's not really a reciprocation, you know, really, especially with slavery. We got nothing out of that. We got nothing but stereotypes and oppression and generational wealth and constant mistreatment to this day. It looks different. Yeah, we have the ability to work in most fields, obtain educations, obtain experiences, trades, establish businesses. But it's like we start over every generation because, one, we're not taught about it. It's like a secret society about how to create generational wealth, and the ideals that, you know, it's like the ideals that's to the masses, you know, before was always like partial experiences, you coming from anyone who's pretty much come from grandparents and parents that's 50 plus, the most of the ideal has been, you know, get a job where you get retirement benefits, you get insurance benefits, you get, you know, benefits like paid time off. And what you do is you save that money. You know, our people have traditionally made nothing out of something from saving money and having a job with benefits. And now we're more in the mindset of, you know, passive income and learning how to make our money work for us versus being at a 9 to 5 for 50, 60 years sometimes, and then living off of the 401k or retirement money or pension for whatever companies still provide that, and Social Security. So, you know, we only got part of the story, that we're supposed to work hard for 60 years of our life. And then if we live to our 90s and 100s, have another 30 years of good living, per se, you know. Well, not really, but you get the example. And so, but what conversations we are constantly left behind, and that's why I kind of love the generation now, because a lot of Black people are entrepreneurs. They're figuring out for themselves and giving people the information to then inform themselves. They have stuff like YouTube, they have stuff like TikTok, social media platforms that truly allow me as a 29-year-old woman to pretty much build the life that I want to have. So if that looks like me having multiple business, having multiple sources of income, that way if one industry goes down, I'm not financially crippled, or, you know, because the ideal of a 9 to 5 job and that being your only source of income, you are solely dependent on that one job working. So say like in the pandemic that recently happened, if you had a company that could not stay open, you were furloughed. And so then you had to depend on the federal government to get unemployment, and then still, you know, having the threat of losing your house if you can't pay your mortgage, if you can't pay rent, and your children, now they're home. You know, if you have children that are grade age, you have them at home 24/7 pretty much, and you may not have a job that's accommodating for you to be at home. Or, like, say if your company had like some type of medical relation, you may have not seen a difference in your work schedule, but now you have young children at home. So now it's just was a um a crazy situation where if you didn't have all your eggs in one basket, it would have been a little more manageable if you had multiple sources. As one industry went down, like say if you got furloughed but you had some side hustles, or you had a business, you could have put all your time into that business and then be able to stay home with your younger children, making sure at home learning was still effective for them and wasn't stunting the already the growth that already was impeding on them, because they weren't in a classroom setting. They were at home where no one is really physically there to be like, hey, you paying attention? Or it's a more relaxed environment. And so now we are figuring out those different ways to be able to have the life that we want and live the life that we want, but not be financially stable and always have. So I'm really trying to be more conscious of the vernacular and the terms that I take on in my vocabulary. So understanding really what that truly comes from, and making sure I'm more informed about things that happened in the past that's not readily available for me. So that's why I felt this video was very beneficial, to get other people thinking about some things that they may say or do in their everyday life, where they unconsciously may have been doing it for years because they've seen their parents or siblings or cousins, grandparents doing it, and now becoming more conscious of things that they're doing and seeing why is that. So like always, I hope that this video finds you well, and if it doesn't, that you are figuring out why it doesn't find you well, and figuring out what's coming up from you that's don't have you at peace. Because the thing is, I'm learning that there's ups and downs to everything, and either if you up or down, that you sit with those feelings so you understand how you came to that not peace of mind, how you came to that state of mind. So if you're on the low, figuring out how you got to that low, what may have triggered that low. And if you're on the high, seeing what may have fed into you being on that high. And always please share any thoughts, any questions, any suggestions that may come